Hi guys, how are you doing? Today I am here to do a review on a book that I was so psyched to finally be able to sink my teeth into. I have felt like I am the only one in the booktube universe that has not read this book, so it just felt so good to finally be a part of the club. Yes! That book is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This book, amazing. It was absolutely incredible. I was drawn in right from the start. I loved the characters, the plot, the themes, the development. Marissa Meyer's take on fairy tales was absolutely just creative. I just loved seeing every aspect of the Cinderella story developed in such an incredibly creative way, and just like in a way that made sense to the story and all tied together without it being like a stretch or cheesy. So I was highly impressed. There was hardly anything to complain about in this book for me. This is for sure one of my favorite reads yet this year. Most of you probably know what these books are about. However, just in case you don't know, these books are a sci-fi take on traditional fairy tales. This book is a take on the Cinderella story, and so this main character, Cinder, she is a cyborg. She lives in the future in a city called New Beijing. You also have a plague that is threatening humanity, and there is also like an alien sort of advanced species living on the moon about to attack Earthlings. So, I mean, if you haven't read this book, what is there about that doesn't sound good to you? You need to go and pick this up right now. Also, if you haven't read this book, I'm about to get into some spoilers, so you should just go read it and then come back and talk to me about it. See you in a bit! I think I really like this book because I'm actually highly intrigued by the idea of morality in regards to cyborgs and like what happens if technology advances to the point where cyborgs are basically exactly like human beings. I think one of my favorite examples of this sort of storyline is Battlestar Galactica. It's not a book series, it's a TV show. This is one of the covers to the Battlestar Galactica series, just so you know. That TV series was like absolutely incredible. It delved so deep into the idea of what if cyborgs look exactly like human beings. And so this book really like brought up like memories of that TV show for me. So re-delving into the idea like what makes people human, at what point are they machine, and what point are they human, what happens when people start falling in love with these things that are technically machines. In Battlestar Galactica, it dealt with cyborgs that were completely cyborg, like they were born robotic and they will always be robotic. However, this book brought in a completely new perspective for me because it was looking at people who used to be human beings but were turned into cyborgs through like an accident they had or something that they like almost lost their life over but were able to retain their life because they were scientifically altered into at least part machine. If you really take time to think about it and chew on it, like where is the line between being a robot and being a human? What happens when cyborg rights come into play? Like at what point is there a line drawn saying that cyborgs aren't humans or they are? Like it's all just like, it's a very deep concept. I think that's why I like the book so much, was getting into that theme of morality when it comes to cyborgs. When it comes to the characters, I am absolutely in love with the characters because, again, you do have that traditional take on all of the characters in the story. So the charming prince, Cinderella, her evil stepmother and stepsisters. However, Marissa Meyer was just able to bring such a creative take and make it so convincing. Like, I hated her stepmother. I hated her. Like, there were moments when I just like really felt Cinder's frustration. One scene that comes to mind is when Adri found out that Cinder had spent Adri's money on a new foot, and I was just like so frustrated because technically that is Cinder's money. Like I just yeah, like I'm getting worked up. Whereas I'm not as convinced by like the normal traditional fairy tales because it's like, well, nobody is that evil. I was convinced by these books. I hate these women. I hate them so much. But that is just like it's good writing. Another character I love is Prince Kai. I think, to be honest, I think he is one of my favorite romantic interests in any series. There's just something about him, like when he comes into Cinder's shop wearing his hood up, like, I don't know. He's just so like laid back and chill. But if you step back, like he does have character flaws, like especially when it comes to politics, like he's really not the best emperor yet because he is so like sarcastic and he doesn't like being told what to do, like he doesn't want to be politically correct with Queen Lavanna, which is like what we as readers want. We want him to be a jerk to her because she is such a shrew. We want him to be rude, but let's be honest, like that's really not politically the right answer. So I just love when characters that you're supposed to love also have a couple flaws, and so I really love the development of Prince Kai. I like the take on him because he really is Prince Charming. He is a charming guy without being like seeming like he's from like centuries ago, like the normal like traditional Prince Charming that you would think of, just way too regal for me. Like I could never, I never crush on princes that are too regal, and so Prince Kai was the perfect mix of regal and charming, but also very laid back and normal. Like he was a normal human being, a normal guy, and I really liked that. When it came to the part where he was on the steps, like the part where Cinder was fleeing the ball and she lost her foot and he finds out that she's a cyborg, and the thing that he says is just like, you're just as hard to look at as she is, or something just as cold as that. I was like, what? Who are you? I expected more from you. That was not nice, Kai. He's not the perfect Prince Charming, and I love that. I need some Kai redemption in the next book. I'm also very intrigued about the fact that this book didn't really end the way I thought it to. Like I thought that it was going to go right up through and like finish Cinder's story basically, and then in Scarlet go on to the next story. So I thought that her and Kai were going to end up together, and then a few pages toward the back it became very clear that that just wasn't going to happen. And so I'm really intrigued by the fact that she didn't bring it to a happily ever after ending. I'm assuming that later in the series we'll see that play out, or at least I'm really hoping that it plays out that way. I just need more Kai and Cinder in my life. I need it right now. I need some closure. The ending just left me like I wanted more in a very, very good way. The whole idea of her not telling him, like the whole purposeful miscommunication thing, very frustrating in this book. However, I can understand. The whole time I was just like, please just tell him, like be honest with him. This is the way I view it. Either he was gonna be completely understanding about it, or he was going to be completely pissed about it, but then he was going to come around later on in the story. And so I just wanted her to get to it. I was like, please just tell him so that we can get past this whole like suspense thing, wondering what's gonna happen if he's gonna hate you, because I know that he'll come around eventually, and the sooner you tell him, the sooner he's gonna come around. So it is a little bit frustrating to read, and I'm just like left on the hook wondering when it's gonna happen, and I just know that it's gonna blow up in the wrong way. But let's be honest, in real life, we probably wouldn't tell him either. So I get it. I really do, but it didn't, like, getting it doesn't help the frustration of reading it. A lot of things happened to Cinder. The way people treated her were just very nasty and very sad. One of the saddest parts for me was when Kai gives her those gloves as a gift, and then Pearl comes and completely like trashes them, and then she's left like looking at the gloves, and she like is thinking like these would have been the nicest thing that I've ever owned. I think this book, along with Ever After, the movie, the one with Drew Barrymore, I think those are my two favorite takes on the Cinderella story. And so this part actually reminded me very much of Ever After. If you've never watched the movie, you need to go watch it right now. But if you don't want to spoil it, just plug your ears for a second. The part where Cinder's gloves get ruined, like Pearl completely trashes them, really reminds me of the part in Ever After where her sister throws her father's book in the fire. And literally every time I see that part, I bawl my eyes out. It is so sad the way the character of Cinderella, just in every take, is just treated so harshly, and so that part really sparked some emotion in me. So this book was just really, really good, and I really liked it all throughout. I was emotionally attached to the characters. I was emotionally attached to the plot. It was thought-provoking. I rated this book a 4 out of 5, and you might be wondering, why didn't I rate it a 5 out of 5 since I loved it so much and I really don't have any complaints about it yet? If you watched my May book haul video, I said that I wasn't done it yet and I was either gonna give it a 4 or a 5 out of 5 depending on one thing, and that one thing was I suspected that I had already guessed the twist halfway into the book. Something just gave it away to me that she was Princess Celine. Guessing twist halfway through sort of takes all the suspense and the fun out of it, and just like every time they bring it up after that or reference it, I'm just like, meh, like I'm pretty sure I already know what's happening, and it turns out that I was right. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. Honestly, I could even give it a 4.5 out of 5 because that to me is a very minor flaw in the context of the rest of the book and how amazing it was. I've recommended this to quite a few friends already. I'm absolutely in love. I can't stop talking about them. If you guys have read these books, which I pretty much know you have since everybody has read them, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you thought about the characters and the plot. If you guessed the plot twist as well halfway through, let me know. Was it as obvious to you guys as it was to me, or was that just like, usually I'm not very good at guessing twists, but this time was just like, it seemed very obvious to me. So I'm curious to hear what you guys thought about it. Let me know down below in the comments. Give me a shout out on Twitter. I will leave all my information below for you. Thank you so much for watching this review, and please, if you haven't read this book, I don't know why you're still watching because now it's all spoiled, but please go read it. I hope you're having a fantastic afternoon. Bye!